Good morning, everyone. Happy Sensational Saturday. I'm Dr. Sheikah Houston and Dr. Tammy Taylor loading very soon. And I would like to welcome you to the R.E.A.L.L Academy. This week, I have a celebration. We are welcoming a brand new addition. My stepsister had baby Nova. So we are excited that he's here and healthy at 8 pounds and 10 ounces. And my self care celebration this week is that I went to the Mary J. Blige concert. So y'all can see my T-shirt. I'm still on Mary J. vibes. So while I turn it over to Tammy before we get started, I'm going to feed us through to some groups, and she's going to take it from here. Good morning, Tammy.
Good morning, Sheikah, and good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. Thank you all for joining us. Good morning, Arstella and Miss Stevens. We are so super excited to have you all on with us this morning. We just got off with Principal Sean Hurt, who was absolutely on fire this morning. Guys, if you did not see him, please be sure to go back and watch. He gave us the most phenomenal professional development this morning on NWEA and how to use that to increase your proficiency. He's absolutely incredible with data and helping us to make sure that we are using that data to move that academic needle in our schools. So I encourage you to go back and watch because what he gave you this morning is truly an NWEA professional development that you would pay thousands of dollars for. So please go back and check out what he was saying because I am a testimony. When you pay attention to those proficiency projections, they will absolutely guide that last part of what you're going to be doing to prepare for that state test. And it does always change that picture of what happens with your preliminary and your final data. Our projections are always lower than what we end up getting at the end of the year. So thank you, Principal Hart, for such an amazing PD this morning. We are thrilled to be a part of this fabulous, fantastic four professional development network and would love to be able to continue this discussion this morning with following up on the questions that we are being asked and want to make sure that we are providing answers to as we have discussions on these Saturday mornings. Again, good morning, everybody. Thank you for putting in where you're coming from. We see you all joining us, and we are stoked about our discussion this morning. Just want to give you a little bit of background. If you aren't familiar with Sheikah and I, and what we do, we want you to just know that we are problem solvers. And that is the reason that we are here to be with you as a part of this Fantastic Four. Principal Hurt was on before us. Principal Kafele will be following us. And then on tomorrow, Josh, Dean, and Chris will be on with Unlock the Middle. So please get in there and know that we are paying forward, trying to make sure that we are a part of the solutions that are needed right now in education. And that's what we want to do. We want to provide real solutions to real problems that educators are facing today, as well as parents and the communities that we serve. Whomever you are, if you work with children, you're in the right place. And we want to be able to support you with whatever your needs are. We do this because we want to be the leaders that are out there supporting other leaders to provide you with that support that we didn't necessarily get when we first started along this journey from anybody except practitioners who were right there getting this work done that are across this country, like Principal Kafele and Principal Hurt. So we want to just salute those gentlemen today and are very thankful to be a part of the PD that's being provided throughout the country and across the world, as Principal Hurt says. We also want to say, if you aren't familiar with us personally, just make sure you know that you're listening to people who really are in the field practicing what we're talking about, as well as making sure that we've researched what it is that we're sharing. Shika is the director of secondary interventions for our school district. She's also the AVID district director. She is a staff developer for AVID and does an incredible job with that. Serves on the board for our local hospital system, MUSC, as well as for Girls on the Run Tri-County. She's a contributing author of the Women Who Lead series, and we are both co-founders of Create and Educate, the company where we provide professional development, coaching, training, and materials to educators and organizations. So I think Shika's done. We're going to go on and get started so that we can maximize this time that we have with you guys this morning.
Definitely. Thank you, Tammy. And I'm going to introduce Tammy if you're not familiar with her. And good morning again to everyone. She is the principal of Great Falls Elementary School. She has a background in district leadership as well. She's a blog contributor to NWEA blog. She's the vice president of South Carolina Education Association for Region 3. And she's contributed to Africana Womanism, In It Together, organized by the progenitor of Africana Womanism, Dr. Clenora Hudson Weems. So between the two of us, we have about 40 years of experience in education. So we enjoy helping leaders, teachers, and parents. And our philosophy is always collaboration. We know that if we are all together and on the same page, we can make a difference in the lives of children and educators. So thank you all for joining us. Our question today, because we are answering those pressing and roadmap questions, actually came from a parent. And we always enjoy getting questions from parents too, because that means that parents are engaged and they, want to know how they can help. And sometimes they need help. So the question that came in, and I'm trying to finish up the comments before I put it up, actually stated if they are having problems at home with the child, what do they do? And sometimes as leaders and educators, we may say generalization things like, oh man, sometimes the parents don't know what to do with their children, or they can't do anything with them at home. And sometimes, as a parent myself, sometimes you do experience challenges at home. So I think that it shows that parents feel comfortable with you if they come to you with these types of questions. And as educators and leaders, we should definitely take that as a compliment, take that trust as a way to say that you definitely must be doing something correctly for them to trust you enough and to be transparent to come through with that type of question. So, don't brush it off. Don't take it lightly. And I know that everyone that tunes in with us would not, but really try to help them and answer them. And the first thing that I normally do as a leader, I really try to identify with parents just to let them know, I'm a parent too, and an educator. I don't always get everything right about my children either. Sometimes you have to kind of show that this is something that happens to everybody, not just you, because sometimes in their minds, they may have that level of discomfort or feel ashamed about not knowing what to do. So I usually start off with a story of my own, and I have plenty. My husband and I have two daughters. They are 7 and 10. So we have plenty of stories to go around, but I usually tell a story about my own child just to kind of get them comfortable and make them see that, this is not just you. Everybody as parents have issues and struggles with their children. And I usually tell the story. My youngest daughter, when she started preschool, we paid for her to go to, both of my daughters actually went to a lab school that's associated with a college, a university. And Tammy was actually the person that told me about the program. It's a phenomenal program, but she got to the point where she just was not going to take a nap. So it became an issue because she wouldn't lay down. As long as she was laying down, it was fine, but she wouldn't. And I would ask her, "Why aren't you taking your naps?" "I don't want to. I'm not sleepy." So when my mother or her other grandmother would go and pick her up, they would take her to Chick-fil-A. So now she has it in her mind at 3 years old. "Oh, well, when I don't take my nap and Mimi and Grandma come get me, we're going to Chick-fil-A." So now we're really not going to take a nap. So they ended up we had to reduce her down to a half day for that program because she refused to take her naps. So, I usually just lead with, hey, we have all been there with struggles with children. It doesn't matter if you're an educator, it doesn't matter your background. All children are different. Never had that issue with my oldest daughter. She went in and took her nap. But all children are different. And I say that also to say that, we really can't compare children either if they have more than one child. So one of the things that we definitely suggest is that comfort level. Did you want to add anything to that, Tammy? I'm going to put the question up.
Okay. No, not at all. Just as Shika was saying, I think when you are having those kinds of discussions with parents, and I want to just caution you because I'm not a biological parent. I am phenomenal auntie to lots of nieces and nephews, but sometimes the credibility seems off. And what you have to do is you have to help parents to feel comfortable with you being able to provide them with a level of advice because you are credible based on the fact that this is what you do. And child development is something that is a part of preparing you for your professional expectations each and every day. So when you are having those kinds of conversations with parents, putting them at ease is something that really will help them to understand that, yeah, I feel what you're going through and I can relate. So they're not talking with someone who they think is unrelatable. So just make sure that that's something that you keep in the forefront of your mind when you're talking with parents.
And to the parents tuning in, any of us that are on here that are parents, we have all had struggles with our children, and even those who are not, who help with other children in their family. That it's normal. Some things that with certain children, just all children are normal things. So the first thing, if this comes to you as an educator, you want to ask parents, and the parent that sent this in, we would really have to have more of a one-on-one conversation, actually, because we would really need to know what those behaviors are, because behaviors could span a wide spectrum from things little like not following directions or routines, all the way to exceptionally violent behavior or something, or tearing things up. So it could be a wide array of things. So we would kind of have to get some more information about what those behaviors are so we can kind of narrow down what area we're kind of looking in. And then I would ask, as an educator, what's the family dynamics at home? Because the reason that matters, I just know from my own experience, when I talked about those grandparents, my family helps a lot with my children. So in my house, my husband and I, we have rules for our children, but those grandparents have different rules. Like I talked about the Chick-fil-A, and my father-in-law, when he was alive, would tell us, y'all can do that discipline stuff at your own house, but we ain't doing no disciplining as far as corporal punishment over here at Papa's house. So, those types of things matter. And are you all on the same page with your rules if grandparents or other family members are involved in helping you with your children. And Tammy talked about how she helps that auntie. She's that spoiling auntie. So, a lot of times things that the parents may have in place may not be in place when you get to the rest of the family. So all of that information matters.
Yes, according to Sheikah, I am the marshmallow of the two of us, is what she tells her girls.
Mm-hmm.
I actually, but now I do believe in supporting house rules because house rules are in place for a reason. And in order to be consistent, we have to really support the expectations that parents have in place. Now, grandparents have a whole different license to do things that aunties don't get to do. Like grandparents can override the rules of the parents at home, and so they have their own house rules. But what I want to just encourage you to think about and to be very careful about is when you are in this situation and when you are um, working with parents or talking with parents, be careful not to get ahead of yourself and hastily give advice. Do what Sheikah was saying, like take some time to assess the situation and find out exactly what's going on, because there are some things that will help you to be able to help the parents. For example, who are your child's friends? Do you know who your child is friends with? Now, it's easier to have the knowledge of they're friends with when they're small and in elementary school, because you have to arrange dates for playing. When you get to middle school and high school, that's a whole different dynamic. So you need to be sure that you know, number one, who your kids are friends with, and then don't make any assumptions, because I'll just share this. The thing that sometimes happens that puts a wedge between parents and school officials or others who could possibly help them with situations that may be happening at home is they don't feel supported in what they're asking for. And they feel like we demean them when we come at them with certain answers or certain suggestions. Because what you can't do is just automatically assume that if a child's from a single parent home or a broken family or whatever the dynamic is in the family at home, you can't make any assumptions about what that looks like when the child gets home. So you have to be willing to learn and understand exactly what is needed and what the family feels like they need. And I'll use my situation as an example. I come from a single parent home. My mom, a phenomenal mother, worked very hard to make sure that she took care of I have three brothers, and she made sure that she was taking care of us. So in a hasty situation where something's going on with one of the boys, and the first response or suggestion is, oh, maybe they need a mentor, that could come across as being very offensive, because maybe they do need a mentor, but maybe they don't. Because in our situation, there was a constant mentor there. Our church assigned deacons. So there was, even though there wasn't a man in the home, there was a man and his wife who supported us. And I have to shout them out. Deacon R.E.A.L Sanders and Alan Sanders were there for us as second sets of parents. So just be mindful and aware of whatever that family dynamic is, as Sheikah was saying before, because it will help you to provide them with suggestions or support for helping the child at home.
That's true, Tammy. And I usually share the fact that I came from a single parent home with families as well, because again, that level of comfort is what you want them to feel comfortable talking to you and receiving from you as well. So all of that is very true, what you mentioned. The other thing that you want to do as the educator is find out, just like we would do with teachers, what are the routines that are in place and at home, or are there any routines in place at home? Because sometimes that might be where the issue is on that lower level spectrum of behaviors that we're talking about. Some children just need those routines to be in place. Are there expectations in place? And just like we tell the teachers in their classrooms for those things to be posted, parents can post that at home. We have posters on the refrigerator, in the room, in the bathroom, because my children need routines, and that's how they function better with routines. My husband, I call Tammy or Marshmallow, but they have him wrapped around his finger. So I'm the disciplinarian person because he doesn't believe in spanking his daughters. So, all of those dynamics, really matter.
They play a
Um,
major part. And the other thing that goes along with what Sheikah is saying is when you're talking to the parent, you have to be, again, you need to do your homework. And as Dot McKeever Jeter said, you have to assess the situation. Like,
mhm,
are you seeing these same behaviors at school? Is this
right.
consistent with what's happening at school? Because many times I've had parents, especially when I was teaching, to come to me and say, listen, I already know this is not going to go well. Here's my cell phone number because you can't call me at work because I will lose points if I get calls at work. But you're going to have to call. And I've never had to call because the behaviors at school are very different, probably because of what Sheikah was just talking about. The structures are different.
Mhm,
Or you have to really be that person who's able to help the parent understand, is there something at home? Is this child just angry about one of the home dynamics? Or is there something that we need to do? And I think Sheikah's going to talk a little bit more about that.
right.
Um, and by way of referring, like, is
Mhm.
something else happening that we want to support you with?
Right. So if you can assess that it's not something that's procedural or routines, or just something off with family dynamics, with grandparents rules and home rules, and it's something way more extensive than that, what I suggest, and Tammy and I talked about it, we suggest is, just like we have teachers take anecdotal notes, have them to start logging some things, keep some notes, what they're noticing. My sister works in the mental health field, so even diet matters. She talks a lot about those red dye foods and like eating a lot of junk food. So just sugar is another thing. So even things with their diet, some notes about what they are seeing, and then you may have to get the counselor involved. We have our school counselors, we have mental health counselors, and we also have outside referral agencies. So if you see that it's something that's outside of your scope, make sure you're ready to have them to know the next steps, have their notes ready for those people, and then be able to make those referrals. And I usually try to make parents comfortable with the fact that, if we have to make a referral, that's okay too. That's not anything to be ashamed about, because as a mom, I'm familiar with that mommy guilt, and you'll run yourself all the way down to back when I was pregnant. Oh my God, did I drink too many sodas? And you start having all of these things going through your mind. So I try to be transparent about that, and also make them feel comfortable, because these types of conversations can make people feel, very uncomfortable and just not pleasant feelings. So,
And I think one of the things that we can close on is one, I want to say it might have been Central, who
mhm,
said, it is so important that we exercise our listening skills, because that's one of the things that is indicative of strong and respectful leadership. And that's actively listening and
mhm.
letting people know that you care about what they're going through.
Well, thank you, everyone. This is our time. Please jump on over with us to Principal Kafele's page. I'm going to put all of our links in the comments, and we hope that you have a sensational rest of your Saturday. Thank you
All
all.
right, guys, have a great Saturday.
And I'm going to paste these, so it's going to take me just a second because I have to do it while we're live.
Yes, and have a wonderful weekend, guys.
Yes, so you all
Yep, you guys hop right on over
hop
to
over
Taylor.
while this is posting. Thank you. All of our links are on here to newsletters, other resources. We have a parent group that we're actually going to post some of those routines we talked about in our parent group. So you'll find all of this in the comments, access to the groups. Thank you, guys.
Bye, guys.